So Keith Thurman will finally return to the ring after an extremely long layoff on December 9th on Showtime pay-per-view in Vegas against Eimantas Stanionis. I probably butchered his first name there, but there you go. So Thurman has been out since, let's have a look at his BoxRec page here, the Mario Barrios fight, and that was in February of 2022. This guy's been out the ring coming up 2 years. Obviously, it'll be February 2024, will be 2 years. So Thurman has been looking for the big fights, looking for the Terrence Crawfords and Errol Spencers of the world, and he hasn't been successful in securing any of those. But he now gets a fight against Stanionis, who has some type of secondary belt. It's like the WBA regular belt or interim belt. I get lost with the various types of WBA belt these days, but Stanionis has some type of WBA belt, and therefore Keith Thurman is getting an opportunity here to wrestle that belt from him and put himself back in a good position in the welterweight division. Thurman hasn't impressed for a very long time. I mean, when was the last time that Keith Thurman actually looked good in a fight? Some people say that the Barrios fight was a poor performance, even though he did win that widely on the cards. Josecito Lopez was seen as a poor performance by Keith Thurman. He obviously lost to Manny Pacquiao. Danny Garcia, I guess, was a decent performance by Keith Thurman. He only won that on a split, and some people think he deserved to win it more clearly than that, but there you go, won it on the split. Sean Porter, I would say, was a good, solid performance. That was a long time ago, real good fight. He won that 115, 113 across the board. So there are performances here where Keith Thurman looked decent, but he never really looked devastating. He never really looked great. Even against Robert Guerrero, he did manage to drop Guerrero late in that fight, but he was on his bike and he didn't look amazing against Robert Guerrero, a guy who was moving up in weight. You go back further than that, Leonard Bundu, he went the distance with him. Julio Diaz, he managed to get him out of there in 3. Soto Carrasco got him out of there in 9. You know, Keith Thurman's moniker one time is really not deserved. I don't know what he was doing in the amateurs, but in the pros at championship level, he's never shown himself to be an incredible puncher. He's got decent power, but he's never shown himself to be Tommy Hearns. He's never even shown himself to be Randall Bailey. 140 and 147, Bailey was a tremendous puncher. Keith Thurman's not that. I think that his run time, because he calls himself One Time, fans renamed him Run Time because of the amount of moving he does in the ring, and that's probably more appropriate, to be fair. So, yeah, there you go. Keith Thurman coming back against Stanionis. How do you guys see this fight going? I'll confess I haven't seen much of Stanionis over the years. I nearly confused Stanionis for Kavaliauskas, who I have seen much more of, Mean Machine. But Stanionis, I really haven't paid that much attention to him. I'm going to go do my due diligence over the next few weeks and look at a lot of Stanionis' fights so I can actually make a prediction for the Keith Thurman fight. Now, obviously, you have to factor in the inactivity of Keith Thurman, and that can be an unpredictable thing. Stanionis himself has been inactive as well. He hasn't fought since April of 2022. So he's been out the ring a long time as well. But I have to imagine he's a fresher fighter than Keith Thurman, and therefore ring rust shouldn't affect him as badly as Thurman, who is a veteran at this point, doesn't actually give his age here, strangely, on BoxRec. But he's definitely well into his 30s at this point, Keith Thurman. So yeah, just a quick one. Let me know what you guys think about this matchup happening in Vegas on December 9th on Showtime pay-per-view.